makes it a feminist statement, that's when it can be beautiful. But yeah, art. I mean, that's all art. I feel like you can't be an artist without being an activist. Like, what are you saying if you're not saying something about society?
Yeah, definitely agree with you on that. And I think some of the greatest artists have been activists. I think about people like James Baldwin and people like Zora Neale Hurston and folks that were definitely involved in their activism, but also were premier artists in their own right, whether that's Zora Neale and James both being authors, but there were others as well. I mean, we can go back to like Harry Belafonte and Sidney Poitier. They were very much using their art as ways to make statements, or even Billie Holiday, as she did with some of her songs and everything. So we've definitely seen artists throughout history making statements and using their art form to make, like you said, a statement about society. And I think that's something that...
even like Zora Neale Hurston. Yeah, Zora Neale Hurston having to fight to use, dialect when she wrote. She had books that people didn't want to publish because they're like, well, you're writing in this dialect. And, when you read those books, I'm like, how could you read this and not want it to be written in this dialect? How could you want to, whatever you want to say, whiten up the language? It's like the whole, part of the story is, listening to these people talk and feeling their cadence in the way she writes it. And you're just like, yeah, this is what's amazing about this art is, it's taking this snapshot of this time and of these people's lives. And, I'm so happy that whatever fight she had to go through to get it done, that she got it done. I can't imagine reading, Their Eyes Were Watching God if it was just, it wasn't written in the dialects that it was spoken. That would be insane to me.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Now, what are your personal favorite routines? And I said when I invited you on and everything, I said I want to hear a routine. So what is your favorite routine, and can we have the pleasure of hearing one of your routines now? We've got little bits and pieces of them.
Oh, well, okay. I mean, my favorite routines, you're going to put me at, let me think here. I think, sketch-wise, I love, like we talked about Chris Farley's, the motivational speaker sketch. That just gets me every time. The Key and Peele sketch with the names in the school, where the substitute teacher keeps pronouncing all the white names, quote-unquote, black, and at one point he's asking for A. Aaron to speak up, and it just, goes downhill from there. I mean, I thought that was great. Man, I'm kind of blanking on stand-up sketches. There's Bill Hicks used to do this one about, it's not even, one of his famous ones, but the first time I heard it made me laugh so hard. He was just, talking, he was driving through Tennessee, and he saw a sign that said dirt for sale, and he just did this little act out of this guy who came up with putting that sign out there. He's like, hold on, we're standing on dirt. We could sell this. And it just, I'm not doing it any justice. But I say like Richard Pryor, George Carlin, I mean, those guys, I think, really changed the way that you do comedy, talking about your personally, anytime Richard Pryor, after he had his whole problem, he came back and talked about his, and was very personal about it. The part where he shot the car up and just told that story. And I feel like that really kind of changed. That was a huge step in comedy as art form. It kind of started with Lenny Bruce, who kind of went to jail for freedom for speaking his mind and quote unquote obscenity laws, and then Richard Pryor and George Carlin kind of taking that even further, and Richard Pryor being very personal, and George Carlin calling out society. The 7 words you can't say on TV is a great one. Something I'm doing. I mean, improv wise, I do this joke right now. I'm gonna what's the rating on this? I don't swear, but I do say something sexual. But basically, is that all right?
Yeah, that's okay.
Okay, I just want to be sure. Because most of the time this joke gets a huge laugh, and I told it once, and it didn't get a laugh, and I kind of had to dig myself out of a hole. But, I'm downtown Richmond, and I'm dressed up, and I'm looking good, and I'm going to a show, and I'm walking down the street, and I just hear someone say, "Work it, baby." And I stop, And I turn around. Usually in the audience, someone goes, woohoo, and I'm like, hold your woohoos. And I turn around, and it's like this 6-year-old kid. The 6-year-old kid yelled, "Work it, baby," to me as I walked by. And then an older gentleman with him, who might have been his father or guardian or something, goes, "Yeah, that's how you talk to women." And I was, usually, what are you going to do? You're going to walk away because you can't talk to these guys. But I'm like, you know what? This little kid, this kid needs to learn that's not how you talk to people. Like, you treat people with respect. You treat people how they want to be treated. And I get in this guy's face and I say all that. No, you don't encourage this in your kid. You teach this kid how to be respectful. And I said, besides, this kid's not even old enough to suck my dick. That just went over awful. I feel bad.
Yep.
Oh my.
This is why
goodness.
I never do comedy on the phone. You see, you got to have that audience. You got to let the audience feel the build and the tension, and then that releases it. And then the guy just kind of sighed, and it was real quiet on the corner. He's like, "Maybe that's not how you talk to him, son."
He let you know that's not the way
This is why you never do. This is why when you go to a party and you see a comic and you ask them to tell a joke or you ask them to do a bit, that's why they never want to, because it never works. It never works. I'm so embarrassed right now. Everyone who's going to call me and ask me to do business improv with them is like, no, that girl's a pervert.
Might get you more business work though, because there's some crazy folks in the business world. Might get you more business work because there's some crazy folks in the business world. It might even get you more business work because there's some definitely crazy folks in the business world. So who knows how it might play out.
Maybe. I'm not going to hold my breath on that one. This is see, now here's what we've learned tonight. This is the last time during a podcast someone's going to ask me to tell a joke, and I'm going to do it. I feel like I've been funny and engaging this whole time, and the people didn't need to hear me tell a joke to get that.
No, you've been very engaging, and definitely. How would folks hear about the show that you're doing, and also how would they get in touch with you if they wanted to have a show with you, and just how would they reach out to you, whether that's Instagram, whether that's Facebook, whether that's your own personal website, whether that's whatever, but how would folks reach out to you to learn more about what you're doing, and what are some of the big upcoming shows that you have coming up other than the one-person show?
Okay, so Instagram, Twitter, I'm just at Zarling. Facebook, I'm Ellie Zarling, but that's spelled L.E.Zarling. My website is elliezarling.com, but that's not up yet. It's still my old website, which is jimzarling.com. I know it sucks, but I'm getting it changed over shortly. I'm getting new headshots for all the photos. I've got a show coming up this Thursday in Charlottesville, and that's going to be at the X Art Project, and that's going to be from 7 to 9 is my trans and non-binary workshop, and then at 9 is my show Wisconsin Laugh Trip. And then December 15th, which is a Saturday night at 10 o'clock, I'm doing Wisconsin Laugh Trip at the Coalition Theater in Richmond, Virginia. And then I'll be doing shows the 28th and 29th at the Pit in Chapel Hill. But that's not going to be my one-person show. The 29th, I believe, is a stand-up show, and the 28th, I'm just going to hop on with some friends and do improv. And then you can come, like, if you want to see me do stand-up, come to that show and see me do stand-up for real with a microphone and my attitude, none of which comes through on the phone.
Now, you mentioned the workshop a couple of times. What exactly do you teach doing these workshops? Because, like I said, you mentioned these trans and binary workshops. So I was just wondering what exactly is being taught during the workshop and what is
Yeah, it's just like a free intro to improv workshop. Like a lot of times at the theaters I've been at, like before we do like an 8-week class, we would have like a 2-hour free class. If you can drop in, do some exercises, have some fun, and then if they want to, they can sign up for the class. And so it's just like a 2-hour class. It's only for trans people and non-binary people. And it's really just to like be in a space where we're gonna have fun. And there's not going to be anyone there who's like looking side-eye at everyone and being like, "What's your deal?" But it's just an intro to improv, and we just do some exercises and have some fun, and kind of like it's also for me to get to know more trans people. Like I said, I'm kind of being my age and just coming out recently. I'm not really I'm really not as active in that community as I should be, and I'm working on that. And so it's a great way for me to teach, to reach trans people and kind of make that connection. And like I said, pass that flame on to them that improv is burning inside me, and like maybe get them going and thinking about how they can express themselves. But yeah, it's just an intro to improv class for for
gotcha.
trans-binary, yeah.
And what is your favorite, like we mentioned, Yes, I Am, but there are all these different routines, and this is not like the comedy that apparently did not go over all that well, but what is your favorite routine, improv routine? Because there's certain improv routines that I consider almost like standards. So do you have a favorite standard improv routine that is like, in your mind, your go-to routine, whether that's, the family at dinner or whatever, but I know that there are a couple of routines that people have as their standard go-tos.
Okay. For my one-person show, I'm trying to think if there's one that I always do. One that I like to do for my one-person show is just, he's called Bernie the Mediocre Elf. And it's basically, Wisconsin Laugh Trip is like part made-up stuff, and like I made up this legend, like Bernie the Mediocre Elf is like, when Christmas comes, you have Santa Claus who rewards all the good kids, and you have Krampus who punishes all the kids who don't get presents from Santa Claus. But Bernie the Mediocre Elf realizes that there are kids who are just whatever, and they don't deserve a ton of presents, but they also don't deserve to get beaten up by Krampus. And so I'll just go on stage with a sack full of mediocre gifts, and I'll talk to people in the audience, and I'll ask them what's the most mediocre thing they've done, and then I'll give them a present. And it's just kind of like goofy and weird, and like I love getting the audience involved. And so like just going to an audience member and saying, well, you look like you haven't done much this year, tell us about that. And then giving them like a blank CD case for their troubles. I love doing so. Anything I can get the audience in. I like to shop for stuff, but like if I'm going to be in a town, I'll go thrift shopping. And I was out in California and found a luchador mask at a thrift store. And so I did this thing called the Luchador Life Coach. And I just put on this luchador mask and then asked people like who was having trouble and they needed life coaching. And one lady was, she was a legal aide or a legal, she worked in a law office. And she said she really wanted to be a costume designer. And so I just, in my character as the Luchador Life Coach, I asked for anyone in the audience who would need a costume designer. And like a couple people did, and one lady was a burlesque dancer, and they met after the show. And when I went back to California this year, the lady who ran the theater said that lady has been doing tons of costume designs around town. So maybe not only is it a funny bit, but it also changed someone's life.
You managed to change somebody's life. That's a good thing. Now, we actually are in the Christmas season. I personally think the Christmas season starts way too early, like after Labor Day, but that's just my own personal opinion because sometimes
you're right.
It seems like we start getting in that Christmas mode as soon as Labor Day comes around and everything. But just out of curiosity, and this has nothing to do with the improv or the comedy, but you just brought it up with Bernard, the mediocre elf. What is the worst Christmas gift that you remember getting in your life, whether that was as a child, whether that was when you were married with your wife, whether that was in your current life or whatever? What's the worst gift that you remember getting or giving that you just sat there and you were going like, what the heck was I thinking?
Okay, so we're gonna put aside everything my ex-wife gave me because that was just like disappointing stuff that wasn't thoughtful. But the one that really stood out to me was my first year after I got married. We went home and my parents had Christmas gifts for, I have 2 little brothers and a little sister, so there's presents for all of us and there's presents for my wife. And my wife gets all this like an outfit and all this cool stuff, and all I got was a tool chest, like not even a tool chest, but like something you'd keep like in your linen closet when you need like a hammer or a screwdriver. And that's what I got for Christmas, was this gray plastic toolbox with like a hammer and a screwdriver and pliers in it. And everyone else is like all my little brothers and sisters are opening toys and stuff, and my ex-wife is opening up sweaters and outfits, and I'm just there with my tool chest. My one present from my parents is this great tool chest, and I was like, oh, is this how it's going to be from now on?
Wait a minute. I'm still trying to get over this fact of this tool chest. So you're telling me this wasn't even a full tool chest, because it sounds like it didn't have the level and everything else. It only had like a hammer, a screwdriver, and maybe a couple of other like small elements.
Yeah,
so
it was a toolbox of the most basic. You know where it is right now? My ex-wife has it. That's when I moved out, I just left it there.
You let her keep it as part of the settlement. It's like, yeah, you can keep the tool chest. I don't need the tool chest.
I didn't even think about it until we just started talking about it just now.
Well, I can't talk